How would you feel if I told you that this innocent looking rainbow is what's causing us all to be sick? We live in a society where color lives and thrives in our food. Everything from ice cream to breakfast foods and even oranges, yes, fresh oranges, has dangerous dyes working in them. I decided to share this with the audience because our children are at risk for developing allergic reactions that are not outwardly noticeable. The Center for Science in the Public Interest, also known as the CSPI, has published a book titled Food Dyes, A Rainbow of Risk. The book, published in June of 2010, gives information on the 9 different food dyes that are FDA approved for our consumption. The information is backed with studies that have been conducted on rats and mice, as well as monitoring behaviors in children who have come in contact with the combination of the dyes. I will tell you about the 9 food dyes that are used, how they are produced, and the products that they can be found in. I will also share studies and findings conducted in rats and mice, and the concerns that people have about children and food dyes. In the end, you will understand how this is the equivalent of eating this. The 9 different food dyes that have been approved by the FDA are blues number 1 and number 2, citrus red number 2, green number 3, orange letter B, red number 3, red number 40, and yellows number 5 and 6. These dyes are synthetically derived from coal tar and are now commonly derived from petroleum. They are used to dye textiles. Merriam-Webster's dictionary defines a textile as a type of cloth or woven fabric. These dyes today can be found in everything from baked goods to candy, canned foods and cereals, chips, cookies, crackers, dairy products, dried fruit, energy drinks, frozen bars, gelatin desserts, ice cream, pickles, and even soft drinks. Tests have been conducted in rats and mice to confirm that the dyes cause medical problems. Blues 1 and 2 have been found to cause kidney tumors and brain tumors in mice. Red 3 was acknowledged by the FDA to be a carcinogen in 1985 and was banned in cosmetics and externally applied drugs. However, Red 3 is still used in ingested drugs and foods. Red 3 has resulted in thyroid tumors in rats and mice and caused DNA damage. The 3 most widely used dyes, which are red 40, yellow 5, and yellow 6, which account for 90% of the dyes used in the U.S., are contaminated with low levels of chemical carcinogens as byproducts of the manufacturing process. Although the FDA places limits on the concentrations of these contaminants in the final dye products, they still may pose a risk. Citrus red number 2 added to the diet of mice and rats resulted in bladder tumors. This is the same dye that is used to dye the peels of oranges to make them more appealing. Despite the findings in the test performed, the U.S. still approves and uses these dyes in our foods. The British government advised companies to stop using most of the dyes by the end of 2009, and the European Union requires now that a notice be placed on most of the dye contaminating foods as of July 20th of last year. Throughout a congressional directive, the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention requested that the Institute of Medicine of the National Academies conduct a study to review the influence of food marketing on the diets and health of children and youth in the United States. Food marketing to children and youth, threat or opportunity, explores what is known about current food and beverage marketing practices and the influence of these practices on our children's health and diets, and what public and private strategies are being used to promote these choices. There is strong evidence that marketing of certain foods and beverages influence our children's preferences, their requests, their purchases, and their diets. The media plays a major role in the marketing to our youth. Because of the expansion of the media, children are advertised to on an almost constant basis. The magazines they read, the television shows they watch, the places they go, and even the games they play online allow the messages to be attached and placed into their brains. These are the times they market dyes to our children. About 3 to 10% of school-aged children in the United States suffer from hyperactivity attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, also known as ADHD. In the early 1970s, Dr. Ben Fingo popularized a dietary treatment that appeared to reduce the symptoms of hyperactivity in many children. The prescribed diet lacked synthetic food dyes, artificial flavorings, and foods believed to contain saliculates. It also excluded aspirin. Numerous scientific studies have proved that at least partial substitution of what became known as the Fingo diet. Those studies show that in some children, behavioral problems are exacerbated by yellow number 5 and other synthetic food dyes. Most parents do not think to check their children's diet first. Instead, they take them to the doctor where he tells them that the child has a behavior problem and prescribes Ritalin instead. Doctors should do more to inform parents of the dyes in foods and their effects on children before they just write a prescription for a cure-all drug. In conclusion, I have made you aware of the dyes that are in our foods and the results of consuming these dyes and the threat that it poses on our children. If you have a problem with these dyes, you should act now and sign a petition that has been circulated by the CSPI to propose a ban on these dangerous dyes in our foods. In closing, it is still possible to eat the rainbow without becoming sick. Instead of giving our children and ourselves processed dyed foods, let's try eating the healthier part of the rainbow, of fresh fruits and vegetables. Thank you.